To be completely honest with you guys, the XP grind in this game is one of my least favorite parts about it. It is such a grind to get a single level 60 champion. It takes like 5 stars, 25 4-stars, 100 3-stars, 300 2-stars, and I'm not even going to mention the 1-stars because it is an insane XP requirement. So when you're farming XP, you have to be efficient and you have to be fast. So in this video, I'm going to be teaching you guys pretty much everything you need to know for especially early XP farming, but also some things that'll carry you through the rest of the game. And if you want to be efficient, then you really, you really have to be smart with your XP. And if you guys would consider subscribing, this is a new channel and any support helps a ton, but at the end of the day, there's no pressure. Anyways, if you're looking to have one of the strongest possible starts, make sure to click the link in the description to get a free legendary Bambus 4-leaf and one of the best epics in the game to gore as you level up. Now, to make it happen, here are all the steps you need to follow. Number 1, make sure you are logged out of Plarium Play on PC or you just don't have it installed at all. The next step, you just gotta go into the description, click the link and register with a brand new email. Once you launch Raid and complete the tutorial, go to the mail and there sitting will be your free legendary, and the epic will come soon after once you hit level 15. Starts like this in gachas are unheard of. Click my link right now and get the start that you deserve. First of all, the most important thing that you almost exclusively have to do is you have to have an XP boost. It is so important. It's literally double the XP. If you do not have this on, you're wasting XP, you're wasting stamina, and you're just wasting your time. These aren't always the easiest to get, but if you can somehow get one, that's the main thing you need to do. Now, with that out of the way, where do you go to farm XP the best? Especially early on, and even for, a couple months after starting, if not a little bit later, you're gonna want to go to campaign for most of your farming. It'll get pretty repetitive, don't get me wrong, but this is the best and most efficient way to get your XP going early on. And it depends a little bit about what stage you farm, but it's also going to depend on how strong you are and how strong your main unit is. So if you can get your main unit to level 60 as soon as possible, probably your starting champ, Kale, Aethel, Elhain, and Gaelic, that's going to be who you kind of want to do. But then you're going to try to push Brutal 12. Brutal 12 is the best XP farm for the first year that you play the game. It's going to really, really, really help to farm here. And the reason why I say Brutal 12 instead of Nightmare 12 or, anything like that is for 2 reasons, actually. Well, 3 reasons, I guess. First of all, Nightmare is hard as hell. And when you're farming XP, you want to have one single strong unit. And in Nightmare, your number 1 unit, your main farmer, has to be so freaking strong to do it consistently that it's just not worth trying. You also get more silver and more mystery shards from Brutal because the stamina requirement is a lot lower. So that's why you want to farm Brutal and not Nightmare. I wouldn't even try for Nightmare. Silver is super important to get as much as possible because a lot of things use silver. And getting as many mystery shards as possible just makes it so you can get more food. And to level stuff up, you need to have food. It just helps you a ton. But now that we've established that Brutal is the best area to go, you want to go to 12-3. The reason why 12-3 is better is because shields give the most silver out of all of the equipment pieces. Obviously, you can get a little bit more XP, but it's such a minuscule amount. And you need a lot of silver in this game, so I would just take my word for it and farm for the shields. So the way that you want to do this sort of thing is you want to have your main unit that we've already established. Here I have Aethel, which is who I started with on this account, one of my old accounts. And we're going to put in a couple food units. For the sake of this video, let's just put in these rares we're going to use as food. The reason why you want to have only 1 unit is because the XP distribution in this game is still there, even if one of your units is maxed level. Aethel has been level 60 for years now, right? But she's still going to get 25% of the XP. And when you take out a unit, she's still getting 33% of the XP. So the more units you put in, and the less maxed units that you're not trying to level you put in, the more efficient you will be. So you have to do it like this, if you can. Super raids will help you save time, so we're going to put that here. And then we're just going to run it, essentially. We're just going to run it and see how much XP we get. Super raids being on all of the campaign stages is something that they added recently since I came back, and I'm so glad they did, because it shortens this entire process by half, which is really, really good. So there, Aethel kills it in about 12 seconds, and we have successfully gone through a stage. You're just gonna have to repeat this quite a long time. That's essentially the core of the XP gaining strategy. Now, please do not be afraid to swap out your main XP farmer. The second you get someone better, someone faster, ideally someone who has an AoE strong hit on the A1. So like something like a Fellhound, or I mean, there's other units, like I think Bellower might be okay. Basically anyone with a solid A1 that does AoE damage and does not need to wait for their cooldowns to come down is going to be ideal. But for the first couple months where you won't really have the resource to do that because you have better heroes to max, you're just going to focus on your main DPS, right? This is a bad example because this guy's worse than Aethel, but you get the idea, right? Do not hesitate to swap things out if you get something better. It's something that a lot of people fall into. Just keep that in mind. Now, another thing for XP farming is getting as many chickens as possible. Chickens just are used as food. It's free food. The more chickens you can get in a reasonable amount of time, the faster your farming's going to be. Chickens can be pretty much anywhere. They can be in over here, the advanced quests. You'll see them in certain events. If I can find one, I'll find one. But in certain events, you can just easily get chickens. Not this one. You get the idea. In certain events, you want to try to scour them for chickens and gauge whether or not that stamina is worth it. And you'll just be able to save a ton of time and a ton of work. Now, another thing that you have to keep in mind as you start playing, and especially when you start getting a little bit stronger, once you've already maxed a unit or two with the strategy that I showed you guys, you're basically just going to integrate using food in farming gear. And it's going to depend purely on your account strength and what stage you're trying to farm. For demonstration purposes, I'm going to go to stage 10 here. Here, I'm going to use a team. We're just going to put in, let's just put in some DPS, our main support, and then we're going to put in 2 food units. Let's put in these 2 stars. The 2 stars are going to do nothing. They're not going to help at all, but they will gain XP. When we're farming this, we're just going to get more XP. And like I said, the distribution is even, whether or not people are maxed, but it's still better than having someone who's already maxed in the party, as long as you can beat it without these 2. So it's just an added bit of efficiency. And if you're already going to be using the stamina, there's no reason not to do it. So we're just going to go in, we're going to get those levels, and it's just going to be easy. And it's all about these little optimizations. This does not seem like it's that big of a deal. I know, but trust me, this is important to get into your brain that you want to be doing stuff like this all the time. In Raid, when you want to save time, you just got to think of more creative ways to use your energy, to spend your time, all of these things. Raid is less to me about the strategy of the fights and more about the strategy of your account management, of your resource management, of your optimizations. So you just got to do these things and hope for the best, right? So when it comes to dungeons, if you can slot people in, if you're farming the ascension materials, you can, put in some food, level them up. It's not a ton of XP, but it is something that you will see over time. So keep that in mind. With one exception though, which is Minotaurs. Minotaurs randomly distribute scrolls. So if you're using a food champion that you're going to feed into someone else, then it's a waste because the scrolls will go to them and it's essentially like you didn't even farm the thing in the first place. Just keep that in mind, that you don't want to farm that with that sort of strategy. Now, something else that I will say, which a lot of people I've seen are pretty scared to do, is using epics as food. This will require a rudimentary understanding of the game and what champions are good. You could obviously use Hell Hades' website, and I'm sure there's other websites too, but that's the one that I use to really decipher if some of these units are good or not. But basically, rares and epics, when they're bad, you're just going to use them as food. And a lot of people are nervous and scared to do this, but frankly, if you're not going to use them, they're not of any worth to you. So you could use them as food. So, for example, I have a shaman here. I've never touched shaman in my life. I'm not a big fan of her. So when I'm trying to level some food, like let's just say for this Grumbler here, then I'm going to go in, I'm going to take one of these shamans if I don't have any use for her, and then I'm going to use her to level him up, right? That's something that you got to think about. Rares are the same as well. Don't be afraid to use higher level champions as food. And also, as a similar vein, make sure you're not using any good champions. Like using Coldheart as food would be insane. Never ever do that. It's just these types of things where you got to understand, is this champion worth keeping? Is it not worth keeping? It depends on account by account basis, and it's kind of hard to figure out. Once you get this kind of down, you'll realize that half your shard summonings are just going to make leveling quicker, and the longer you play, the easier this is going to get. So keep that in mind as well. Now, some just random tips, because I think we've gone over the main basics. Make sure that you're always using your Guardian Ring. I don't recommend using gems to unlock them, at least not for a very long time. Personally, I think it is a waste of gems, but you still get one for free. So just make sure you're using this. It's free XP. I mean, it would be a waste if you didn't use it. Something to do if you are doing a champion training event is when you're using food, let's say we're using this guy as food, you want to level them a little bit, whether it's a brew or doing some stages to a certain point, and you'll actually get extra points for leveling them. And you get a certain amount of points depending on the star of the champion, and you're going to get more bang for your brews, I guess. That doesn't make a lot of sense. But basically, when you use a brew and the character is level 1, you're going to get more value, more levels, and more points out of them than getting them to like 20 to 30. And it's going to take less brews. So even though it's, a brew investment, when you're doing champion training events, it's just free points. I mean, you could take an epic, for example, level it with one brew, and boom, 24 points just off the bat off of one brew. Doing stuff like this will help you in your champion journey stuff. Just, these little things really do add up. The final tip, which I guess is the entire video, is the most important part is just to look for things that keep you efficient. At the end of the day, stamina is a limited resource. Sure, it comes back with time, but you only have so much time, right? So the little ways that you can use your stamina for multiple purposes. When you're doing something, try to use it also for something else. Like when you're farming gear, use it to level champions. Or if you're going to level champions, make sure you have an XP boost so that your XP doesn't go to waste. It's just all about these little things. And that's kind of been the whole video, just doing little things to effectively get more value out of your energy, out of your time, all of this stuff. You really just gotta look for these things as you're playing, and you'll just see how much more XP you get overall. Like, for example, one of my biggest mistakes when I was playing this account multiple years ago, this is not my account that I play on anymore, but I barely had any 60s, and this account's over 200 days old, and I barely had any 60s. And that's because I never did any of these things. I just farmed sometimes. I farmed XP sometimes, and I never really tried to be efficient with it. And it resulted in so few 60s over the course of almost a year that I just have to pass on the knowledge that I've learned since then, which is like, don't waste it. Don't waste your stamina. So that's kind of everything that I wanted to talk about. Hopefully this helps a little bit. I know this isn't like a use this one trick and you'll get 800 more levels more often. Instead, it's just, there's a couple things you could do. But at the end of the day, it's Raid Shadow Legends. It's going to take you forever to do these sorts of things. That's just how the game works. And you just gotta do the little things. So thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you would like. It's up to you, man. And that's it for me. Destin signing out.